messy room. Oh,
Beautiful.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Benfica podcast. My name is Alfredo, and I'm here with Cristiano. You might have heard him already. Cristiano, what's going on, bro?
What's up, dude? How you guys doing today?
Okay.
You always catching me talking, bro. Always. You gotta let us know.
Hey, when you can't stop talking, it's hard not to catch you talking.
He's got a point.
Steve,
a point.
What's
Hello,
up,
everybody. Have you guys having a good evening after the Champions League game?
Yeah.
'Cause I don't know. I'm not, but whatever. We'll talk later.
And Laura is here also. What's going on, Laura?
Hi guys, how are you?
Good. So it's basically a repeat of last week's crew, and we managed to get that introduction screwed up again this week. So nothing new. Hopefully, it'll be as entertaining as last week. So on tonight's agenda, Rio Ave recap, Champions League Monaco recap, and Nacional preview. So we'll get started with the Rio Ave. Benfica hosted Rio Ave this weekend at Estádio da Luz. I'll give you the lineup real quick. Cesar, Maxi, Luizão, Lisandro, and Almeida across the back. Samaris and Enzo in the middle. Salvio, Talisca on the wings. Actually, Talisca played for Gaetan, and then Jonas supported Lima. If you didn't hear, Eliseu actually fractured his foot in training. So it looks like he's going to be out about a week. It's nothing major. It's one of those metatarsal injuries, which could be healed pretty quickly from what I understand. But he's going to be out for at least a week. So Almeida was a left back. Steve, surprised at all? I mean, we heard a lot of things that maybe Enzo might be dropped into the into the defensive midfield role. Surprised at all that Samaris continues to get the call?
No, I think Jesus is going to stick with this until it absolutely, completely will never work and he's given up, or until he figures that Samaris will come around. I'm getting a little bit annoyed, but I guess there's not so much you can. There's only so much you could do with Eliseu hurt. You can't put Almeida in at defensive midfield because you don't have the faith in Benito. So I guess I could understand what he did, but this whole Samaris thing is dragging on a bit. I don't remember Matic taking this long, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, Matic, in his defense, he had a whole year to prepare by watching Garcia.
This is true.
Mean, we're talking about two players that are very different. I think that Matic has a lot more lung than Samaris.
A lot more aggressive. Samaris is a little more lax than Matic is.
Yeah. Laura, Jonas, second start of the season?
Yeah.
For Jonas.
Well,
First in the campeonato, right?
First in the campeonato. You happy about that?
I think he is definitely a good player. I think he will make a difference for us. He will be scoring goals. I think what the problem was is him being paired with Lima, because I found that them two, they were kind of getting in the way of each other, and a few times when they could have actually shot to the goal, they were just messing around with the ball, losing the ball, and then Rio Ave would come back in counter-attack. So other than that, I think he can score. This guy, he's already proven that in the Liga, the Spanish Liga, and he will prove it here as well. But we need to have the right type of player up front with him, and I don't think Lima is that player anymore. He's gone down drastically in terms of quality. He's not passing well. He's not crossing well. He's not scoring. He's basically not doing anything. He's useless.
Steve.
Yeah, on the whole Lima subject, I think Abola put it very well in the player review at the following day after the game. They said that Lima needs to go see the witches, because there's obviously some sort of spell that's been put on him, and he's been awful for about a year. And that being the game being played on Halloween, I thought that was quite fitting. I think Lima needs to go see the witches.
So do you think that's a true statement, or that was just somebody making a joke because it was Halloween?
I'm obviously not that superstitious, so I think it's a joke, but it was a pretty good one for me anyway.
Cristiano, Jonas, you think are you the same opinion as Laura that Lima is actually hindering Jonas?
I think I've said it time and I think I've said it time and time again that I think the guy's a spectacular player and he's only going to help this club out. Unfortunately, he's playing with guys up top that have lost all types of confidence right now. Lima, you could leave the guy in front of the goal by himself, and I don't believe he'll put the ball in the back of the net. And that's just the funk that he's in. And right now, it's not helping out a player like Jonas, who needs to play with other people, play off of other people, and set them up. And right now, things just aren't clicking for Benfica. I mean, it was a very tough game on Saturday, and it shouldn't have been. I should say Friday, and it shouldn't have been that tough of a game based on what we saw on the field. But they made it tough because right now, no one up top could put the ball in the back of the net, with the exception of the youngster Talisca.
Yeah, and Laura, for the first time this season, I've seen a team come to the luge and play a more defensive game than any other. What do you make of it?
Well, I think what they tried to do is they played it safe. So, like you say, defensive game and counter-attacks. I think with the guys like Marcelo, Tarantini, Ukra, they managed to actually create some danger, especially on the left wing where Almeida is not exactly used to that position of left back. So they took advantage a bit of this, and Samaris with the form that he's since he's come to Benfica, he's not exactly a good six either. So that's the way that they wanted to play, and I think we've struggled a lot more than what I anticipated, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Somebody's becoming a liability, guys, and we saw that on Friday. I believe so. You saw that on Friday. Jesus took him out in the first half, brought in a player who he didn't think was 100% to play in Gaitan, who he said himself after the game, Gaitan, he sacrificed, tremendously for the club today. He shouldn't have even been playing. And so that right there, when you see the coach make the same tactical change game after game after game, it leads you to believe that Jorge Jesus himself does not have the confidence in this player that we all thought he was going to have at this point. I think right now he's playing because there's probably nothing else, that's better than or gives you a better opportunity to win games than he does right now. That's saying a lot. And the other thing is his price tag. I think those are the only reasons why he's playing.
Steve, when are you going to stop hating on Talisca, bro?
I don't think I ever will. He's just not my kind of player. But if a man keeps scoring goals, let's just put him up front at number 9 and let him stop wrecking plays in the midfield. Just put him up there and let him score, because it seems like it's the only thing he does well. Anything defensively in midfield, which all he really has to do is close people down. He doesn't do that well. He doesn't offer himself for the ball carrier very well. He doesn't make very many right decisions when he's passing the ball. But the guy keeps scoring. So maybe it's the second coming of Cardozo, where I thought he was awful for 95% of the match, but then he would put the ball in the back of the net. That was the case today in the Champions League.
Wow.
Let's not get too crazy on that.
Wow.
Cardozo, that's a huge statement right there, man. Cardozo is Cardozo. Lara, I'll let you take this one.
I don't agree with Steve at all, but I can understand where he's coming from, because a lot of people, well, most of the fans, to be honest, they were either loving Cardozo or they were hating him. And it's the same for Talisca, because Talisca is actually presenting qualities that are not exactly the typical midfielder qualities, and he seems more like I say, well, in Portuguese, ponta de lança, where he is not exactly very good technically, but when he is able to put the ball at the back of the net, which, that's how you win games, obviously. So that's a very important thing, and he's the only one to seem to be doing that at the moment, and he does it quite on his own, and he's scored some beautiful really show. I can't hate on Talisca because he's basically the person who, the player who's got us to the first spot at the moment. However, I'm wondering if we had a good forward, right, well, two good forwards at the front, and we had a good midfielder who could feed the balls properly, would we have the same result? Maybe we would. So I'm still unsure about Talisca.
What's there to hate on the guy? The guy's been carrying us offensively. The guy scores every big goal for this club. Yes, he's not perfect. Yes, he doesn't track back defensively. But then again, give me a number 10 that tracks back defensively. There aren't any. The guy, he's not a perfect player yet. But remember, he's 20 years old, guys. He just got to Portugal. It's his first, steps in European football, which is totally different than what he's accustomed to playing in Brazil, guys. I mean, Steve, I love you. But to compare him to Cardozo, I mean, come on, dude. Cardozo was a sniper in the box. You put the ball at his foot, the guy was tremendous. He couldn't do anything else. Talisca at least could come out of the box and play with the ball a little bit, man. I mean, come on. It's not even close. Not even in the same atmosphere. I mean, whatever. Not atmosphere. You know what I mean. Right.
But the end result is still Talisca is not offering us much within the play of the game, but he's finishing off the goals just like Cardozo used to. That's my correlation between the two.
What do you want Talisca to do, bro? Isn't that Samaris and Enzo Perez's job to do? To get back and track the ball, set the place from the back? That's it. That's their job.
Gaitan, the playmaker?
Exactly.
I think in that position as a second forward, you have to make the connection between the midfield and the forward and the number 9, and you have to make your teammates play better. You have to incorporate them and whatnot, and Talisca doesn't do that.
You know what he is doing? Making the connection between the ball and the net, and I love that.
That's exactly why I can't. That's why I cannot argue that part of what's happening, but I could definitely argue the other parts. But let me just add something. I don't think. Okay, we've won a couple games. We beat Rio Ave in a, for me, was a very high pressure game, because imagine we didn't get a win after the third game. I mean, we tied Monaco, we lost to Braga. If we were not to get the points that we needed against Rio Ave, if we weren't to get the W, things would be pretty dire. So that in itself is a great result. But there's still something. This team's winning, but even throughout the whole season, it's never convinced. And I'm convinced that the problem lies in the spine of the team. You have Samaris, who's obviously still learning the ropes and is not fitting in at the 6th position. You have Talisca, who, okay, yes, he's scoring goals, but what else is he doing? And I think that is affecting Enzo. Has this been the Enzo that we know? Has it?
No, but here's the whole thing about Enzo, and there's a ton of factors that we can consider, and we could probably sit here and discuss this ad nauseum. And one of them being the fact that he almost left and didn't leave. So is he playing against? Is he at Benfica against his will? The second one is the fact that he's always had a guy protecting him in his back, and he no longer has that type of a guy now protecting him. He has Samaris, which looks totally out of depth in this team. It doesn't look like it's the type of guy that Enzo fits in well, like Matic, like a Fesa. So there's a lot of things that might be affecting Enzo. And then again, you've got guys up front that are new also, that maybe Enzo's not combining well, probably not meshing up well with Talisca either. There's a bunch of factors that you can take into consideration. But he definitely hasn't been himself, Chris.
Who, Enzo? Oh, absolutely not. I mean, and guys, come on. We're talking about losing a player of Matic's caliber, who's to me a world-class player, arguably one of the best center midfielders in the world. And when you lose that caliber player, it's going to be really hard to replace him, especially at a club like Benfica. Problem is, right now, no one is doing all the dirty work. No one's coming out with the ball from the back, playing it. It's just, right now, I don't know what is going on. And whether it's Almeida at that position, whether it's dropping Enzo back, which I am not a believer in doing that, because to me, I think you then impact 2 positions as opposed to trying to solidify 1. I just, right now, there's not many answers on this ball club. So hopefully Feja comes back and he's healthy and he could play that I don't know, whatever, that role of a stridor, and maybe Enzo reverts back to what he used to be, because right now it looks like something is not clicking there. And it seemed like, and not to get too much into today's game, because we're going to talk about it a little bit later on, but it seemed like to me it's in particular in today's game that Enzo and Gaetan, for example, they look like they were disenchanted. They were not interested. They looked like they weren't into the game at certain parts of the game. It looks like these guys have both maybe lost a little bit something for this club. It just seems to me that way. It doesn't seem like the same guys putting in the same work week in, week out like we saw in previous years.
Yeah. And Chris, we got 1/3 of the season almost in the books, and at this time, this is the time that Benfica is supposed to be getting into high gear and really cranking it on. And right now, as Steve says, there's a bunch of pieces in this team that are not really gelling and meshing. Should we be worried, especially now going into a very important time of the year with important matches? You got Porto coming on pretty soon also. You got the final games of the Champions League. How do you see this team? Are we in trouble?
I don't think we're in trouble just yet. I think that, like you guys have both mentioned, and it's a great valid points, we have not played well. But reality is that we're still in first place in the Portuguese Campeonato. And today, with like I said before, we're talking about today's game, but we kind of, throwing a life ring at us today, and we're able to bounce back and get these key victories. And so, yeah, we're still alive. Could things get better? Absolutely. Do I think they will? I think so, because only time and rhythm will get this team playing a lot better going forward.
Yeah, but I just wanted to add what Christian was what he was saying, that we did not win any game with a good team. We lost against Braga, we drew against Sporting, we lost the two first games of the Champions League. Monaco was very weak, so even if it's a Champions game, this side is very weak. They didn't show anything. They have the least shots on target of the whole of the Champions League, all the clubs together. I think only 4 shots on target in 3 games. That's really ridiculous.
Yeah,
so I personally have never been convinced with any of Benfica's appearances, and I think that we've lucked out sometimes because other teams have lost a player with a red card, or we got a penalty or something, or they've had a disallowed goal. I don't know. I'm not happy with this Benfica, and we might be on the first spot, but I don't think it's really deserved. And I think that if we don't better ourselves and we don't improve, we will lose that first spot pretty quickly, with especially with the Porto game coming on.
I think we've all said this. I think we've all come to the same agreement and the same understanding in previous pods. Benfica's not going to win the Champions League, guys, right? I think we're all correct in assuming that. But so I was more answering that question to Alfredo in terms of the Portuguese league. Yeah, I think this team will have enough, just enough, to stay atop of the Portuguese league and fight for the Campeonato. In that, when I answer that question, maybe I should have specified, I wasn't talking in terms of the Champions League. I was referring more so to the Portuguese league, that I think once this team starts to gel together and these guys get accustomed to playing one another more often, I think that things will only get better for them. Yes, you should be worried because same thing could happen for Futebol Clube do Porto. And they do have better players 1 through 18 or 1 through 23, whatever you want to call it, than Benfica does. But right now, they're behind this. So I think there's still some positive things to take here from Benfica.
Yeah, and Steve, this is something that we've talked about maybe 3-4 pods ago, where we questioned JJ and his motives for concentrating on the Bicampeonato, and one of the facts was that he really feels that there's a certain shortness of talent in his team, and he's worried that sooner or later the depth that Porto has, on paper at least, is going to click, and we're going to be in trouble if we don't get these first matches.
There's no two ways about it. We don't have the squad that we had last year. So if you want to compare this season to last, you're looking at this time last year, we were basically in the same boat. We had some bad results, never convincing, but we had a squad full of players with a lot of talent. So we were always capable of turning things around. At this point, we're in first place. We've not had too many bad results in the league, but we've never convinced. And to me, I'm going to have to go against Cristiano. I don't really see an optimistic outlook. The more and more you look at the bench, you don't see an option on the bench to change a game in your favor. You see gaps in the starting 11 where these guys aren't getting it or not playing at their level. Gaitan lately has just been missing. The final ball from Gaitan has been off. The shot has been off.
I mean, there's a possibility they could be hurt. You could be playing, you know,
Okay,
you could be playing,
what's
under
Salvio's
some
excuse?
extenuation. Well,
What's
I think
Salvio's
I think
excuse?
Salvio's just been terrible all around. He has a lot of heart and he has a lot of fight, but he just hasn't had the touch, and
And what's Lima's
that's kind of
excuse?
hurting us. Well, Lima was like that last year. If you
And
guys remember,
yeah,
Lima did not have a good year last year, not at all. If it
but
wasn't for Rodrigo and other guys, we would have been dead.
okay. So maybe,
It's not the same responsibilities, I think, Salvi and Lima.
and then there's
No,
Markovic. We're missing a lot from last year that we obviously all know that isn't here this year, and it's leaving me in a more pessimistic stance than I. Well, this time last year, I thought JJ was halfway out the door because it looked like he lost the locker room and nothing was going right. So maybe we will turn it around. But based on just squad depth and quality, things are not looking very bright this year for me personally.
yeah. We'll just have to see, but I mean, as far as the Campeonato, we're still 1 point ahead of Porto, but we got some tough games coming up. But the Champions League, it looks like Chris said, we came up and got another breath, and now we're going back down again. And we played Monaco tonight at Stade de Luge. I'll give you the lineup real quick. Julius Caesar in goal. Maxi, Luizão, Jardel, and Almeida. Jardel making his return since Lisandro had picked up a red card last game. And again, Samaris and Enzo in the middle. And then Salvio and Gaitan on the wings, and Talisca and Derlei. And here's the whole thing that Steve just mentioned, and that we've been mentioning, the fact about Lehman not playing all that well, and Laura's obviously mentioned it also. But it just goes to show, if JJ had complete confidence in Lima, and if Lima was playing well, he wouldn't be rotating Derlei in. Even though in past years we might have seen Lima being saved for league games rather than Champions League games, but Lima, really, I mean, he's been on the decline for quite some time. Cristiano, why not get some burn to Nelson Oliveira?
That's the $1 million question, guys. I don't think I don't think he's a huge fan of Nelson Oliveira, and as long as Lima and Derlei and Jonas and even Geds to a certain extent, as long as these guys are healthy, they're gonna play over Nelson Oliveira. I could think he could give two hoots about Nelson Oliveira. I think we'd all like to see this guy play because we'd all hope that he develop into something special that maybe could represent our national team. But right now, he hasn't shown us, or probably George Jesus for that fact, anything that deserves to get playing time. So I don't know, man. I mean, I really can't answer that question, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm done with Nelson. I've been done with Nelson for a year or two now. Have no desire to see him in the club anymore. I just every time his dad and him open up their mouths and say how he should get his chances and whatnot, he's obviously a very talented kid, but he's missing the mental side of his game, and it's just never gonna happen for him. I don't think. My 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 hopes of him being our number 9 for Benfica and for the national team have gone way out the window. Way long time ago.
Yeah, but you've got to admit that this year he's been pretty quiet. As a
This
matter of fact, the one time that he came out in the press was to praise JJ and was to say that he wanted to stay and learn under JJ. So that's got to give him a little bit of points here.
But he must obviously be so dreadful on the training pitch that he doesn't even make his way into so many rosters.
Yeah, his brownie points haven't gotten him too much playing time. So I don't know. I don't know how many brownie points he's gotten off of that.
He played once this year. I can't remember what it was.
He came in to the Taça, Covilhã.
Exactly. And he plays a one-timed left-footed, maybe not one time, but on the bounce, left-footed volley, smashed right into the goalie. And honestly, that took quite a bit of ability to do, but it was the wrong option. He should have brought it down and played someone else in.
Yeah, but he's a striker. He's a striker.
Those
guys are selfish like that, man. They
that
gotta
explains
take shots
it
on
all,
goal.
though. That explains Nelson in one play. Every time he gets the ball, it's always me. Whether it's 30 yards from goal or outside the 18, he's always looking for that flash and a shot. He's
But
never
Nate,
looking for anything that's gonna give his teammate maybe a better opportunity or maybe somewhere where he could get it back. Never. It's always the flash, and
name me
that's
a
why
Portuguese
Nelson
winger.
never,
Name me a
never
Portuguese
will
winger,
play.
Portuguese striker who's not me, 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 me. Name them. I mean, if it wasn't for the me, 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 me attitude, Nani would be one of the top wingers in the world. And the same goes for Quaresma. But unfortunately, all these guys got this stupid mentality that unfortunately does not let these guys grow. And that could be said for so many other players that played. Miguel was another guy. Got so many players that have come out of the Portuguese teams, Portugal, the school. These guys have not developed because of mental, because of that stupid attitude. It's the only thing that holds these Portuguese players back. And then when they show up with the national team, they think that they're all that. And then this is why we see the lackluster performances, time and time again.
Yeah. So back to today's game, Laura. I know it was at night in the UK. Did you happen to fall asleep watching today's game? Because it was a
Oh,
snoozer.
bloody hell! It was so boring. Thought I was watching some sort of I don't know, district game or something. It was boring, and I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I mean, obviously we won, so that's the main thing. I don't know if it's good or not because we might want to be out of the Champions League and concentrate on the league, like we already said. But we did create most of the occasions. There's a couple of. I think we are lucky that Berbatov was injured against us of this in Monaco. I think we got lucky there because he's a good player who could have made a difference offensively. But apart from that, I think overall the team was, at the well as the game was. So mediocre but solid.
You know what I think was good from
Yeah.
today's game, aside from obviously the 3 points? I think today, Julius Caesar answered a lot of questions. A lot of you doubters that did not think this guy could perform at the highest of levels. He had an outstanding game from Benfica today, and they could have been out. They could have been out of the game in the 70th minute when the guy pretty much came from the right side, had a one-on-one with him. He made a pretty nice save. I think he answered a lot of doubters today.
Yeah.
But I think he still lacks a lot of he needs to improve his game with his feet. I think because
No,
he's
no,
passing.
no,
He's outstanding with his left foot.
No,
Have you had a look at the
that's
statistics? Have you look at the statistics. They don't lie, statistics. You've seen something, you are biased. You love the guy. That's what the problem is.
no,
You were
No.
dying to see him over Arthur. That's it.
no. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to take their side, and I think if
Miss
there's
Cardozo.
if there's one area that you could really see the difference between Artur and Julius Cesar, it's the feet. It's the
Yeah.
feet. It's you can play a ball back to JC, and you're a lot more at ease. When you play it back to Artur, it's like let me catch my breath here because that's what happens, and it's completely different.
I
And
know.
even from his hands, the distribution from his hands and from after he picks it out of a cross and plays it with his feet, it's night and day. Artur, 90% of the balls where he's trying to play it to like a winger to solve you end up out to touch, and with Julius Cesar it doesn't happen.
Not
Yeah.
only is he more sure with his feet, guys,
Steve.
pay attention. When the defenders have the ball on their feet, they play it back without hesitation because they know this guy can handle it. Totally different. You notice, their composure when he's back there, as opposed to Artur, who they try to come up with ways to do spinoramas and get the hell out, get the ball out of the back.
Spinoramas. Sorry, Lara, we're gonna have to disagree with you on that.
Well, like I said, you can have a look at the statistics and what he did on his, on the passing, for example. You can have a look yourself. But, obviously he's better than Artur, and he does instill confidence in the back four. It's got nothing to do with Artur. He's not done, frange yet or anything like this. He's not messed up, but he's not played very much either. Huh? He was most of the time he's in a hospital bed or lying on his sofa or something like this, yeah?
or out traveling around Portugal with his wife or girlfriend, Susanna.
Yes. Very
Blame
good.
him,
probably.
It's a very good looking wife, I must admit.
Which I think was Ronaldo's girlfriend back in 1998, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Ronaldo Lima, not
Yes.
Ronaldo.
Oh, I was going to say, Dan Ronaldo, 98. My man started young. I was like,
Yeah, but anyway, so we get the 3 points, and
important
I mean,
3 points.
The important 3 points. I guess it was a must 3 points if we want to keep the fans' hopes. I mean, we know the message that's being passed on in the locker room, but I guess as a fan, you always hope that the team does well and goes into the next round. But really, Monaco is probably the worst team of this group now that I've gotten a chance to see them a couple times.
Oh,
And
definitely.
when you have Berbatov on the sidelines or in the hospital bed or whatever, it makes it even easier. But I'll just give you hey, Peji, the classification. Leverkusen,
Yepa.
Leverkusen 9, Monaco 5, Zenit 4, and Benfica 4. And Zenit has a -1 goal differential, and Benfica has a -3 goal differential. Next round, Benfica will host Leverkusen at home, right?
No. Zenit. They go to Zenit.
They go to Zenit. So yeah,
Go to
that's
Zenit
right.
in 3 weeks.
So middle of November game in Russia, which if Benfica wins, then there's a good chance that Benfica will make it to the Europa League. If Benfica loses, then we're gonna crash out of Europe altogether. I'm thinking.
November 26th to be exact.
Right. That's the day after my birthday.
Nice. We're gonna celebrate with a big loss. I mean victory. My bad. My bad.
So I mean, I don't want to bore everyone by asking each one of you what you guys think. But if we win against Leverkusen, not Leverkusen, but Zenit, I think there's a good chance that we'll make it to the Europa League. But there's no way we're making it into the next round.
We don't know, man. Don't be you guys. What's this? The Benfica podcast? Let's all be down on Benfica. Is that what it is today, guys? I mean, say what you want. It was an ugly game. It was an ugly game, and must I remind you, today while I was watching the game, I almost fell asleep a couple of times. And while I did this, I thought to myself that this Monaco team would really struggle to finish in the top 6 in the Portuguese league because they really struggle. And to me, they're terrible. That being said, Benfica found a way to get the 3 points. And who's to say they can't go over to frozen tundra in Russia and pull off the upset? I mean, it's not like Zenit is Real Madrid or Barcelona of a couple of years ago. And I think, did Benfica look terrible or great in either way? No, I don't think they did when they played Zenit. But I would not be surprised. Benfica has professional players, guys that have played in this competition before, and they know how much this game means. So I think they're going to put in a good performance, guys. I think you have to be optimistic here, guys.
No.
Disagree.
Not from what they've shown us in these past 4 games.
It's 3 weeks away or 4 weeks away, whatever it is. There's a lot that could happen in 4 weeks, but based on current form, I don't think we could beat Zenit. I don't think we could beat Zenit. I know we can't beat Bayer Leverkusen. So
Didn't
Not
Monaco
in
beat? Didn't
Germany.
Monaco beat Leverkusen?
yeah,
Okay, I'm just guys. Again, I'm just listen. It's a
the
round
ball is round and all that.
11 versus 11.
Yeah. I know. Our coaches used to tell us that when we were kids too, when we used to play better teams.
You guys are this close to getting your Benfica fan cards revoked. I think I'm gonna make the call. I'm gonna get everybody on Twitter to sign the petition. We're gonna get the Benfica card revoked from you guys.
All right, so 3 points. So here's a quick question for you guys, and this comes from Neil. What would you rather have Benfica do? Lose, or which one would be worse? Lose in the round of 16 of the Champions League, or lose in the Europa League final? Which one would be worse?
Is that even a question?
Yeah, of course.
Which one would be worse? I think obviously losing in the Europa League finals would be worse because you get your aspirations high, you get your hopes high that you're going to win this, the cup, because we haven't won a Europa, or not a Europa, but a European trophy in God knows how long. So that would really play into your mind because of the Bela Gutmann, bold BS curse that he put on us. But financially, losing in the round of 16 in the UEFA Champions League would hurt you more because you wouldn't be able to get those millions into your bank account.
Yeah, I think in the financial aspect, losing in the round of 16 is definitely worse.
Let everybody else answer. I want to hear from everybody else. You're the one asking the questions.
Laura.
For me, it would be worse to lose the final of the Europa League because 3 years in a row, I can't handle that. I won't be able to make that. Last year, I think, I got my limit
Yeah.
in the final. So I definitely don't mind if we get, out of the round of 16. Is no problem. for me.
Yeah.
I don't think we have
Steve.
the team anyway to compete in there, so I'm not surprised. But the final, no, that's too much.
Steve, I think you'll agree with Laura.
Absolutely. It just hurts too much to lose in the final. I just do not want to see that again.
Yeah. So there you go, Neil. I'm not sure I read your question correctly. Maybe I did, and I just fucked it up. But
Jeez.
but yeah, you know, it would be much worse for me. Losing a final is always bad.
I mean, do you guys believe in this Bella Gutman curse? Just wondering.
No, no.
'Cause what do we got? Like 50
There's
years
no,
left?
there's no such thing as curses, and you can ask Boston.
What?
Why you gotta mention that, bro? I'm a Yankees fan. Why do you have to
It
mention
doesn't
that?
matter. It
Hey,
doesn't matter. There's no such thing
there's
as
no
curse.
baseball talk on the Benfica podcast.
You
Thank
must
you.
not know. You must not know about the Chicago Cubs, because
Here we
trust me,
go.
there is a goat curse. But whatever. We're talking about soccer.
Yes, thank you.
Look, I think that it weighs on a lot of people's minds. There's a lot of players that are very superstitious that they'll play with the same pair of underwear, same pair of trusos, if you want.
Limpinhos, limpinhos.
Same socks or have these rituals pre-game. Look, players are superstitious creatures by nature, I think, and from reading a lot of books and from being around a lot of them, you know that's the truth. So when you talk about a curse by Bella Gutman and something like of that magnitude, it's very possible that it weighs on the players' minds.
You know what? I'm very not superstitious. I'm the complete opposite. But if you look at how many finals we've been to since that
Yeah.
quote unquote curse, it gets even more difficult to be.
Not to believe it.
Yes.
I'm in the same fold. Yes, I'm right there. I'm not a very superstitious guy. I am in certain things, but not all.
I'm not at all.
But this makes me want. I mean, guys, think about it. We think about the finals: 83, 87, 91. Now the last 2 years, like
68.
well, I'm not even going that far, guys.
Yeah.
Let me stop. I mean, come on. I mean, there's got to be something to it. I feel like going and digging this guy up from his grave and giving him $100 in a garrafa de aguardiente and tell my man to reverse this, because this is absurd. I just want one, because if you believe in it and you got another 50 years, dude, I hope I'm alive by then. I mean, man, that ain't cool.
Yeah. You're also, I mean, you're looking at the past times that we've been there, and I mean, there's been some extraordinary teams that have gone to these finals. I mean, I remember teams with Diamantino, Carlos Manuel, ridiculous teams. I mean, I'm not talking about the Europa League finals that we've been to. I mean, even though last year's team was pretty impressive, but and the year before was impressive. But compared to these other teams with these other guys, it was freaking ridiculous.
Look at the 1991 team that lost to AC Milan 1-0 on a Rijkaard goal. That team was all they eat in the back. I mean, you had superstars up and down that lineup, and somehow, man, we just always find a way to 87 against PSV in penalty kicks. There's always something. There's just always something in the way. And, I mean, losing in 1991 to a stacked AC Milan team, okay, I mean, you could kind of accept that. But that being said, we've been in plenty of the finals. We have not come out with a result. We could have very well beaten Chelsea. I thought we outplayed Chelsea in the UEFA finals a couple of years ago. We didn't come away with that. Last year, we get, semifinals against Juventus, get a bunch of dumb red cards and whatever, injuries. We don't play with our starting 11. And even though I thought we could have finished the game off even in extra time, we didn't get this. The Batu comes 10 feet off his line. There are referees that get paid just to sit there and make sure a guy doesn't come off his line, and somehow they swallow the whistle. Was it Bella Gutman? I don't know, but something. There had to be something. We can't keep, having these terrible things happen to us just by, pure luck. Just, hey, it is what it is. It happens. I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I believe that, but it definitely weighs on players' minds. So anyway, next up for Benfica, it's Nacional. We will travel to the Madeira Islands to play Nacional. Nacional is currently 12th with 8 points. 2 wins, 2 ties, and 5 losses is their overall record. At home, 2 wins, 2 ties, and 1 loss with 4 goals scored and 2 allowed. Last 10 times that Benfica has played at their stadium in Madeira, 7 wins for Benfica, 2 losses, and and 1 tie for Nacional. Steve, playing Nacional always hard, no matter which way you slice it. Every time Benfica goes to Madeira, whether it's playing Marítimo or Nacional, always hard to play there.
It's definitely one of the traditionally difficult places to go, as you say. There's also the little bit of rivalry between Manuel Machado and Jorge Jesus to add to it. So it's definitely not going to be an easy 3 points, but it's 3 points that we're gonna absolutely have to get. They got a couple players that I think we're gonna have to keep an eye out on. Salvio may continue his funk because their left back Marçal is pretty good, and I think he was linked to us and to Sporting in the summer, if I remember right. He's a pretty good player. They also have a Egyptian guy in the midfield, Ali Ghazal, who's quite good. So it's not a bunch of crooks with
Monks.
crooked feet or monks like you would call them, but it, we have to win. At this point, there's no other alternative. You got Porto in I think 3 games, and you can't go there already behind them, because if you're going to the Dragão already behind Porto, it's not a good sign, and their confidence is going to be glowing, and then it might turn ugly, and that's the last thing we want is an ugly result. So
Yeah.
I think the most important thing is to keep on track and keep winning ugly if we have to, because we got to go to the Dragão still ahead of them and still have our pride intact, because if we're already behind them, I'm a little bit worried about what might happen.
You think they get to go visit the Cristiano Ronaldo Museum? I mean, that might, inspire these guys to perform over the weekend.
I don't think you could fit the whole team in there.
Oh, hey, one at a time, a line. You know what I'm saying? One at a time.
Yeah. And Porto travels to Lisbon to play Estoril, and Sporting hosts Paços de Ferreira, which is going to be another complicated game for Sporting. Hey, big shout out to Sporting and to all those guys who thought they were winning the league already after Benfica lost against Braga. So they get 3 with no response. So thank you very much, and go back to sleep.
Yep.
That's very rude, Alfred.
I'm pretty sure all the
That's
Sporting
to my
followers-
friend Eric Krakauer. Thank you. I know he doesn't listen, but that's all right. Everybody can tell him that I talk shit about him on this podcast.
Yeah, he was giving it to us pretty hard on Thursday.
On Thursday, man.
But it's funny because when I saw him Sunday, that stupid smile was no longer a smile, and I tried talking. He was giving me no time whatsoever. And then again, I tried to mention it yesterday during the podcast, and he kind of tried to crack on himself real quick, got out of the way, making sure I didn't rip him too bad. But yeah, Sportingistas, it is what it is, man. I mean, listen, you guys have always thought that they'd be a contender till the end, and
I still think they will.
I think they will.
Yeah, they'll be a contender for 3rd place. That's exactly what they'll be doing. So,
I think they'll be around. I think they still might nick points off of us and Porto and still make.
So hold on. You become a little bit negative on Benfica's performances because they've only been able to pull off victories but not shining. But yeah, you think that Sporting somehow they've impressed you somehow to think that they will be in there too, because they have done nothing to impress me whatsoever. They played a good second half against Chelsea, and Rui Patricio went absolutely nuts. And
how about what they did?
That's their highlight.
Germany? What they did in Germany, they've had a couple of good games in Portugal as well.
Okay, it was a good game, but
they
had a spectacular game last week.
I'm being absolutely honest. I know they were awful against Guimarães, but I do not think that Benfica have had a display similar to what they had versus Schalke. So throughout the whole year, I think they've reached a higher level in that game than we have reached in any game so far. So
they have.
That's what's being said.
Against Chelsea, it was pretty good. But they fought hard. I mean, we definitely have not done anything like that so far.
Yeah, they definitely have put in a few performances that have been quite impressive. Probably better than we have, even though we've been consistently winning. But Sporting, I have enjoyed Sporting play at times this year, and it's early in the season. I think that Mark Silva is a great coach.
I think that's about it. The center backs is what's gonna catch them out and why they might not win anything. But I honestly think that they're gonna give us a hard time throughout the season, and Porto as well.
Yeah, but that's about it. You know, the coach is probably the only thing I like. Those uniforms are ugly. That
Yellow one
stadium
Marconi.
especially.
is ugly. That white lion is ugly. So whatever.
What is it they have? I said Marconi. Isn't Porto Mar? I know one of them is wearing Marconi. Oh no, Warrior. One's Warrior, one's Marconi. That's what it is.
Porto's warrior.
Warrior. Ay,
Macron. Macron.
Yeah.
Macaroni.
But
Yeah,
here's the
that's
here's,
terrible.
here's the question. Here's the question for Laura. Laura, will Talisca score against Nacional?
Well, I'm really bad with guessing. The last time I guessed a 3-1 nil and 3-1 victory. We ended up winning only for 1 nil. So let's say I think he will score. But I would like my man Jonas to score as well.
Lá vem ela. Olha, lá vem aquelas coisas merdas dela. Olha.
I'd like to see a Jonas and Talisca pairing at least from the start.
Oh
Let's see what happens with
yeah.
that.
But wait, who plays up front?
Jonas and Talisca. Or who plays
Exactly.
at
You know what I'm
9?
talking about.
You mean the guy who would be the guy playing with his back to the goal? That's the problem. Neither one of those guys is that type of player.
Exactly.
So unfortunately, you will have to play with a clown like that, Leo or Lima up top.
No, you
Unless-
don't have to. You don't
don't.
have to.
You really don't. But that's what Jorge Jesus' style has been since he's arrived at Benfica, guys. That's the style he's played. So yeah, would I mind them seeing both of those guys together? Yeah, but I think both of those guys play a very similar role where they both will, clog up each other's space.
Hey, Laura, this one's for you. I can't help but to think, what would it be, the pairing of Jonas and Cardozo up front?
Oh my God, Maravilla.
Cardozo, Jonas would have a rope tied to Cardozo to drag him along.
Because Jonas will be doing all the work and Cardozo will just be putting him away.
Listen, I think we spoke about this off the air plenty of times at
we
my
did.
house.
We did.
And I tell you, Cardozo for the Portuguese league is still a lethal goal scorer. And his problem was not, playing when Benfica had possession. His problem was playing in the big games against the Portos and these Champions League games where Benfica would defend it and counter, because most of the time it would be on a 7-on-1 counter. Once it got to Cardozo, our own players would turn around like, all right, Cardozo, you're gonna lose it. All right, cool. They would all walk back in the other way in the other position and try to get back into a defensive position. But as far as a pure goal scorer, the guy was lights out in playing against everybody but Porto. Oh, I wanted Cardozo to stay on this team just for the 2 or 3 or 4, depends how many games we play against Sporting throughout the year. Just for those games. That's it.
Cardozo was money, dude.
Versus Sporting.
Cardozo, no, he was money versus everybody. Trust me.
You're right, Steve. The guy was automatic.
He's
Especially
money.
last year, bro. The guy, I don't even think he knew how he hit it half the time. That was just bow, upper 90, like, whoa.
And Nacional was one of his favorite targets, too. Now that I'm thinking about it. Nacional he scored more goals against Nacional than any other team, if I'm not mistaken. So, anyway, let's hope for a win. Let's see what happens with Eliseu. I know that we were starting to get down on Eliseu. We'll see how Andre Almeida is going to handle the left side. Also, this Samaris issue and this issue in the middle, I hope it gets sorted out quick. And also Salvio, man. I want Salvio needs to break out of this funk. I know that his wife is pregnant. Maybe that's playing into it somehow. But he needs to get back into it, man. The guy does put a lot of effort in there, but he needs to get back those 1v1 skills. So we'll hope for a win.
O gajo anda pesado, meu. O gajo anda pesado. He doesn't have that. He doesn't have that speed, that quickness to get around the defender 1-on-1, bro. It's understandable. It happens. It happens. But listen, real quick. I know you mentioned Eliseu, right? You said he's out for a week. I heard a month.
A month. That's what I said.
No,
You said a week, but we knew it was a month.
No, did I? It's a month.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah, a month. Okay, that's what we do at Benfica Podcast. We help one another out. I mean, we try to give everybody the best information possible. But yeah, Steve, o gajo anda pesado. What do you think? Carrying a heavy load. He's got like one of those wide load signs on the back.
I am not going there, Cristiano. I'm not going there, buddy.
Anyway, all right, let's wrap this up. Please don't forget to visit our friends over at planetbenfica.co.uk, our website, benficapodcast.com. Also, our friend Cristiano does
I was gonna say he's not really that good of a friend.
Our friend Cristiano does a very entertaining pod with Mr. Eric Krakauer on Mondays at least, sometimes on Thursdays also. A BSH podcast or Big Soccer Head podcast. You should check that out. Only available on YouTube at the moment, but I'm sure it's coming to iTunes soon. As for everybody else, Laura, your Twitter.
LO Cardoz 28.
And Steve.
Steve Santos 6.
And Cristiano, where's that sign, dude?
I had it up before, right here. 10CO10. I gotta
There
get
you
my
go.
man a beard. I gotta get my man a beard. Laura, it's not LOL Cardozo just yet.
No, it's not LOL Cardoz, no. I'm still not laughing out loud. Maybe at the end of the season we'll see if I add the L if we are campeões.
All right, sounds good to me.
Yeah. And at Benfica Podcast is where you can find the official Twitter for the podcast. And we're at 590 right now. We're still trying to get to 1,000. Cristiano, I beat you to it today, bro.
I figured I wear it out every week, so I figured, I'll let you get to it this week. But since you asked, guys, the 1,000 follower at Benfica Podcast gets a signed T-shirt by myself and our good buddy, the host, the guy that makes it all happen.
And we're gonna go up to Canada and see Steve, and he's gonna sign it too. We're gonna have it with us.
There you go.
Laura, you have to FedEx or something. I don't know, because we ain't going to London anytime soon to get that signed. Maybe when I go back, if we hit 1,000 followers before I go there, we have to find some type of arrangement. Maybe.
All right. And that's about it. Thank you very much for checking us out. Next week we'll be back to recap the Nacional, the Madeira game. What else do we have? Do we have an international break next week sometime?
We do.
Yes,
All right.
after Sunday.
All right. And that's about it. Thank you very much for checking us out. You've been listening to the Talking to the Dog Benfica podcast, the only Benfica podcast on the internet.
Go buy the T-shirts.
The T-shirts, they're still available if you want to buy them, but there's got to be a minimum order of 15. teespring.com/Benfica-podcast. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot for checking us out. Thanks for listening. Thanks for all your support. Please don't forget to tweet at us on Twitter. And Cristiano, I know that he loves engaging people, and so does Steve, and so does Laura.
Sir, there's a time limit though.
Thank you very much. See ya.
That's a lot of thank yous.